I looked in the program book, just like you did, and it said, too much is always better than not enough, Reverend Ivan Stang, and I thought it was going to be a panel. So I thought don't get this event mixed up with the full gospel squirting revival tonight at 10 o'clock. Because, this just isn't the right atmosphere to do a sincerely, Holy Ghost-filled revival, because there's a table here instead of a pulpit, and there's not a big picture of Bob in here, and I'm not in my preaching duds. I want you to know these aren't my preaching. I'm not that sloppy of a preacher. Well, this is supposed to be a panel. So, and that's what I was a little bit more geared up for. So if anybody wants to just scream or yell or spew out some questions. It feels so good. Yes. Oh, wow. Someday ends the harvest. X Day isn't that far off. What year is 1991? This is what we call the year 70X. 7 years before X Day. X Day, when those beings from Planet X, the newscasters will call them the men from Planet X. That's why Bob refers to them as the X's. We're assuming that, according to the word Bob, the X's will arrive on July 5th, 1998 at 7 in the morning. Now, there's some other UFO experts here that may give you conflicting dates for the end of the world and conflicting species nomenclature for those aliens. But we're not talking about any of those little gray aliens or any of the Nordic humanoid-looking aliens. Those guys are they're like the pranksters of the gods. They're just subgeniuses of outer space. Their Bob's spaceships go as fast as theirs. As regards to X's, they're in the exact same boat, and their butts depend on Bob just as much as ours do. In fact, I was thinking about that last night, because I'd seen Bill Cooper's talk, and it got me really, thinking about all the mysteries and the conspiracies out there and so forth. And it occurred to me that the classic flying saucers, I think, this is my personal latest theory since last night, that the flying saucers are like the subgeniuses of the gods. Now, the subgeniuses tend to like to do what you might call pranks. The church, in one face of the church of subgenius, you might call the practical joke that we don't stick around for, and it's a lot of fun to do those till late. So another reason I think that the church has survived for so long and keeps growing is that so many of them live in different cities and don't only see each other every now and then, and that way we stay great friends and can occasionally unite in our battle against the conspiracy, which I guess some people here have not read the entire book of the Subgenius cover to cover 8 or 9 times. So those of you who have, forgive me if I stop and explain things every now and then. The conspiracy in this convention, this is a wonderful convention, by the way. I'm used to science fiction conventions or fringe conspiracy, let's say, conventions, and I've never run into any that were quite such a mix. But at this one, there's quite a lot of information of all kinds, true and false, on the various conspiracies. And the Church of the Subgenius addresses those. Bob's Word addresses each of those conspiracies one way or another, partly because we want some of their members. So some of them will pick up, they'll go, good Lord, they know the secrets of our inner cult. Well, okay, they're okay. And other ones will pick it up and go, what? They've diluted and profaned the word of Ramtha. But all those conspiracies are valid. Every one of those conspiracies is valid. Kennedy was shot by the driver of the limousine, the guy in the grassy knoll, Lee Harvey Oswald, that guy over there, the man under the manhole, that guy over there.
I didn't see you there.
I was there with the squirt gun. And Jackie, of course, and it was suicide. John F. Kennedy was the greatest performance artist in history. It was a suicide art statement, sort of a prank. And that's one way to just, and he needed Bob's help to pull that one off. Believe me. I saw Lee Harvey Oswald walking down the street in Araruama, Brazil this summer. Or a guy who looked just like him. I just wanted to mention that. But anyway, back to those conspiracies. Okay, those conspiracies are all true. But the conspiracy that Bob is most concerned about is the conspiracy that doesn't even know it's a conspiracy. It's the conspiracy that does more harm to all the other conspiracies, such as the conspiracy of Subgenius, which is as many conspiracies as there are Subgenius. And that conspiracy, it's the conspiracy of normality. It's the confederacy of dunces. Not that they're necessarily stupid. What it is that they, why do you think we call it Subgenius? Once a week you're allowed to use the term, well, why do you think they call it Subgenius? As an excuse. Bob brings not forgiveness, but an excuse. And which one do you need? After all, which do you need? All you need is an excuse. He did not die for your sins. He does not give a hoot about your sins. He will help you rationalize your sins. With your Subgenius membership, you get a barge suitable for. Right? They got better and better at it over the months too, and I guess they're still doing it, right? Nobody still catches them. Oh, those crop circles are going to end up spelling something out. Lions are porridge for laying some egg in the air.
Yeah. Back up far enough with a satellite, like Bob.
Yeah, they're starting. They got a lot of dots to go. That's what it is. It's that mighty halftones of Bob's face. Every dot is a different runic power emblem. You can stare into one of those dots, and some of them will take you to a real nice place. Others, perhaps not so nice. There's a good Bob and there's a bad Bob. Of course, for every Bob particle, there's what's called an anti-Bob particle or a needy particle. I don't know if I should mention that name here. That's the demon that named itself, and to get us into trouble. Because when you invoke its name, but when the tank decks break, it's not running. I put brand new batteries in this thing. No wonder I was looking at that going, that's an awfully long 45-minute tape. Man, I was trying to close it right.
The pause.
Was anybody typing?
Look at the pause.
Oh, it's video. I'd like an audio copy. Might be available. No, we didn't say it was available. What? You mean, I know all those people went out and used the bait and stood there and waited for those bats, thinking the pudding was going to arrive. This has been a real interesting convention because it seems like it's very, there are many disciplines or undisciplines. You can watch the rupture happening in New York on television. And think how many Subgenius memberships we'll sell in that 3-hour difference. It'd be too bad for those late people that sorry, we ran out of membership cards. I guess you're just going to have to stay down here outside the dome.
Isn't it also true, though, that in reality, you cannot be saved until your check clears?
No, well, Bob knows, and the exes know whether the check is going to clear. Now, if you run into some bad paperwork on Mortal End, though, that could be a problem. But as X Day happens, that's going to happen, and we have, obviously, there should be a place where all subgeniuses who can afford it gather. It's the day after 4th of July, and so it's sort of vacation time. But we're trying to figure out where in the United States to have the big X Day landing party, the big rupture of the universe party.
Devil's Tower.
Well, Devil's Tower would be, but see, that's I don't think they've let us.
Graceland.
So it has to be private. Well, there's so many that would be perfect. You know, the Plaza, there's just millions of them. But it has to be on private land because some people, we're going to want to make a lot of noise and stay up real late at night and do things that will be shocking to
That big video to Arizona.
video cameras and to current affair and so forth.